Hello and welcome back, Summoners. It's time to take a look at the reimagined Evelynn from the most recent patch. It's been almost over a year since they've decided to try and redesign Eve, and they've had her underpowered for such a long time, so it's really exciting to finally have her back into the game with a completely redesigned toolset. And so I'm going to show you guys how to play her in the jungle as a really effective ganker and counter jungler. Now the cool thing is that the reimagined stealth system now utilizes a really nice surprise gank tactic of Evelynn while making it a more fair and balanced gameplay. That being said, learning to use Eve as a jungler will still allow you to create that same fear for the enemy team that was there pre-nerf. But Eve no longer has a slow or a stun pre-level 6, and her ult slow is on a very high cooldown, so she now relies on the element of surprise and just doing damage to be successful with ganks. So I'm going to show you guys how to make the best use of that with my different build and tactics here. Now the benefit of not being seen by wards allows her to actually effectively counter jungle and to set up some very effective ganks without the enemy team having really any chance of knowing you're coming without setting up some pink wards. And even then you can get around those in a lot of cases. Evelynn has been changed to no longer be a super hyper carry late game, and now she's more of a strong overall throughout the entire game style champion with no huge peak moment after buying items. This is due to no longer having a non-stop speed and health regain boost from her ultimate. Instead, the strength is now spread out throughout her basic abilities, and her ultimate is now an extra percentage life-based nuke with a shield and a slow attached to it. The way her passive works is she won't be seen until she gets within a certain distance of an enemy champion, and at that point you can walk up right behind them and take them out. In this case, I'm able to run right up behind Vladimir before he sees me, and there's no chance of him escaping. Unfortunately, there is a Twitch and a kill coming in from behind, and I get taken out from that. Now, the next one is me coming in and doing some stalking gameplay. You're able to see enemy champions before they see you, so you can kind of walk around and follow them throughout the map. So she has that old school Evelynn feel to her, as long as you're not walking right on top of someone's face. So there is a danger of walking into bushes as her, but you can still catch up to people. So I've stalked this Rumble for quite some time, given Jax time to catch up, and then we jump on top of him and take him out for the kill. And that's one of the really fun things about Evelynn. Her new Q, Hate Spike, is a lot stronger than the old one. It actually does AoE damage to everything caught within it, and it's a much longer range. So I'm able to run up very quickly, catch up to this Rumble, and use my Hate Spike to take him down as he had one hit remaining. Looks like Karthus won't be taking that kill with his teleport. And so in this particular clip, we're just going to go in and try and do a little bit of dive action. Alistar not able to make anything happen there. Nice tornado though from the Janna, knocking him up. And I do notice that this Twitch is going to try and engage on ours. So I go in onto him. He flashes away, but my Hate Spike is just in range past his flash to pick up the kill onto him anyways. Now the W is a speed boost now, and it's called Dark Frenzy, and a lot of times you're going to use it to start engages to catch up to people quickly. In this case, I'm able to use it to get in range of Kog'Maw and use the active on my Gunblade to pick up a kill on him. Now a lot of cases you don't actually want to use it right away. You want to use it to remove slows from you, because it will remove any slows that are on top of you. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and engage. I was waiting in the bush. I'll throw down my exhaust onto the enemy Janna, and we're able to take her out. Right after I get pushed to the wall, I do toss out my speed buff though. That way I had it for the most amount of time, and I was able to get the double kill. And in this particular case, I'm counter jungling, and I do run into the Gragas. He came for his blue buff, so I just get slowed by his body slam, and I decide to use it to run away. But then I notice that Ezreal's coming up, so I'm going to go ahead and try and bait out this fight. I know I can't 1v1 him. I almost die in the process, but since he knocks me away and it's not enough damage, I'm able to flash to safety. Her E is now her attack speed boost, and Ravage no longer reduces magic resist or armor or anything of that sort, but you're just basically going to use that every single chance you get. Every time it's up on cooldown, you're going to pop your Ravage onto the enemy champion. It actually swipes them twice, doing a pretty decent amount of damage and increasing your attack speed for 3 seconds. I max my E second after leveling up my Hate Spike, and you will get about, I think it's 110% extra attack speed once you have it maxed out. So it's going to give you some pretty good damage within that 3 seconds as long as you're attacking. Now her ultimate is a really nice nuke. It actually gives a percentage amount of their max HP, and for every single person you hit, you get an extra amount of shield. So in this particular fight, I used my ultimate on 3 or 4 people, and I get a gigantic shield blocking most of the damage that comes in from the enemy brand. Now, unfortunately, the ultimate is on a really high cooldown, so you can't have it up all the time. It does give a nice little slow as well, so you can use it in situations where you're trying to gank someone to slow them down and keep them locked down on top of your exhaust and the active from your gunblade that you're going to be building. Now, in this particular fight, I used my ultimate on 2 or 3 people, and it looks like a pretty good fight, but I start to get focused by the Xin Zhao. The cool thing is that without that shield, I definitely would have died, so it's really useful in these teamfight situations, and that's kind of what allows Evelynn to go in there and be that melee champion that gets in there. But anyways, let's talk about her early game and how to really get started on her. What I do is I'll pick up boots and 3 health potions, start at the wraiths and get a nice leash at red, pick up the red buff, and immediately go gank the lane that should be most acceptable. In this case, I walked all the way up to the top lane, placed an exhaust down onto the rumble, and got a first blood. That way, giving my Jax the advantage in the lane. You always want to get your lane that's going to have the most the highest chance of success in ganks fed as possible. And in this case, I'm just going to start camping this rumble. I went back to base and I picked up a lifesteal item as well as a couple of health potions, and I just continue to focus down that rumble. That way, our Jax can get far ahead of him and have no chance of losing. Now, in this particular game, there's not really any gank potential in the mid or the top lane, so as soon as I hit level 2, I head down to the bottom lane, and they've already done a little bit of damage onto the enemy, so I'm going to wait for her to get right into range. And in this particular case, she is level 1. She uses a roll, and I say go in, and we jump on top of her. I put my exhaust down, and I'm able to pick up the first blood. We decide to keep on rolling in, and I get my Tristana kill. Unfortunately, I get exhausted into the turret, so I'm not able to get away, and I do die to their support, but either way, it was definitely worth it. Once again, buying that lifesteal as well as a ward and some potions. You always want to grab a ward if you're able to. That way you can place that down and have vision of the enemy camps. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to camp the bottom lane in this particular game, going down, and we get another kill onto the Vayne, and that one is taken for our Tristana. So if you can get your lanes fed, that's really your #1 goal. Obviously, getting kills for yourself is great as well. Now, what you want to do eventually is build into a cutlass, and that's going to give you the active, which allows you to slow down your enemies and do a little bit of extra burst damage. Back in the day, it was better to go for a Trinity Force first as well as a Wriggles, and I tried that out in a couple of games, but I found that with the new Eve's abilities, it's just not as strong as going for a quick cutlass to have that active to slow them down, especially whenever your ultimate's not up, or even in addition. So you have those 3 slows. You'll have your exhaust, you'll have your cutlass active, and then you'll have your ultimate. And in this particular case, I have so much burst damage, I'm able to completely take out Kagama before our mid lane's even able to get an assist from it. So not necessarily my intention, but either way, it was a good kill, and I'll take it. Eventually, you'll be building into a Gunblade, but before I finish up the Gunblade, I do go for Berserker Greaves. As you get into that mid-game area, you just need to continue warding up the enemy jungle, and in this case, I put down a ward at the blue. We saw Xin Zhao going to his wolves, and I was like, come on, let's go kill this guy. And that's kind of what you want to do. You just want to find opportunities to take out your opponents when they don't know you're coming, and it really works out in the best case scenario. Eventually, you'll build up into your Gunblade, and that's going to give you even more damage, as well as that extra AP for your abilities. All of your abilities are magic damage, and that's where a lot of your damage is coming from. So you're going to get a lot of benefit out of having that item now. And you can still go for the Trinity Force. It's still a great item on her, but I end up picking it up second after my Gunblade. And then eventually you can go into a Guardian Angel. A lot of times I don't actually get that far because those are expensive items, and so unless the game goes into 45-50 minutes, you probably won't be picking up your Gunblade and your Trinity Force, or even be going into the GA. But sometimes if you get fed enough, you can have that happen. Overall though, late game, Evelynn is all about good positioning and getting off your ultimate onto as many enemies as possible. Sometimes it is actually really hard to make a difference if the enemy team has a lot of CC or they focus you down, so you have to make sure that you focus the right target. In this particular case, the enemy Draven is extremely fed. He gives a Quadra, and there wasn't much we can do about it, but I did see the twitch was there, and I took him down extremely fast, so you do what you can in most scenarios. As far as the masteries are concerned, I do 21-9 on the defense and utility tree. That way I can have that extra health, and that helps me out with having the early game advantage, because you sometimes will dive in just a little bit for the turret, and you need that extra HP and that damage reduction. For your runes, I like to go for the magic penetration marks, 13 armor seals. On my blues, I'll do 6 flat AP and then 3 AP per level, and then move speed quints. Overall, in my opinion, the key to being successful on the new Evelynn is to make sure you get that early pressure onto the enemy lanes and try and get your lanes fed, as well as finding opportunities to both counter jungle and just disrupt the enemy jungler when possible. Now, you're not going to be as strong 1v1 as some other champions, but a lot of cases all you need to do is get the jump on them and use your cooldowns to max effectiveness, and then you should be good to go. She can do a lot of damage if she's able to sit there and focus them down. She has a lot of constant DPS, maybe not as much burst as some other champions, but overall she is a really strong. Now, I don't think that she's necessarily OP at all. She does have the opportunity to really snowball her team or herself in a pretty good way, so that's a lot of potential as it is. And the fact that she can bypass wards is a really scary thing for enemy teams. It's kind of like when you're playing against a Shaco and you have to always constantly be on the lookout and not know if he's going to be ganking you from behind or not. So I'm really curious to see how he's going to be played in tournaments and the things like that. Hopefully you guys got something out of this guide and you're able to play Eve a lot more effectively than before. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and make sure you subscribe so that you know when I do more guides, as I'm going to have a lot more coming out as the weeks progress, and I've got a lot more on my channel already that you can check out. That's it for my commentary on this video, but I do have a lot of extra gameplay footage that I was able to pick up on Eve, so enjoy some nice music, and I'll see you guys around next time. This is Kobe Cheese. Peace out.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
go, go, go.